Hey everybody, Mike Church here, Crawlspace Ninja. I apologize. I was having some technical difficulties with my camera and my microphone. Can everybody hear me okay? Just wanted to make sure that I am live and ready. Tiffany, am I live and ready? Can you all hear me all right? Feel like an old man with a cell phone. So anyway, just wanted to introduce you to the Crawlspace Ninja live stream. I am Michael Church, and just wanted to thank you for joining us today. I want to, first of all, let everybody know we are dealing with a hurricane down in Florida. I'm not in Florida, I'm in Tennessee, but we've been getting quite a bit of rain and wind from all that. And just wanted to let you all know that we are praying for each and every one of you. So just keep that in mind. Tiffany's telling me that I need to make her the moderator, and I'm not sure I know how to do that. Tiffany, can you tell me how to do that? So anyway, I just want to let everybody know down in Florida and the coast, we're praying for you all. So let's start with our first Ask a Ninja. But before I go into that, I want to let you all know I've been reading a book called How to Be Your Own Banker, or Becoming Your Own Banker. So if you all are interested in finance and I know it's hard times out there, I've been talking to a lot of people through the Buy Me a Coffee that are really struggling financially. So they're choosing to do their own crawl space, and I can completely understand that. Here's a book that I wanted to share with you all in the chat. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, this is the Amazon link. It's called How to Become Your Own Banker. Good stuff there. That's just the beginning. There's a lot more probably information that you can glean from that. But I wanted to tell you that if you get a chance to read that book, please do so. Tiffany, I don't know if I've been able to make you the moderator. If you could chat me how to do that, that'd be great. So let's start with question number one. How many square feet does the gallon of crawl space mold removal cover, and how should I know to use that instead of YCS DIY mold and mildew cleaner? All right, so we have two different mold cleaning products on our DIY store. Number one is the Anabec cleaner. Anabec cleaner comes in a 5-gallon pail. So if you have a large project that you're wanting to do for mold, a couple thousand square foot of crawl space, and keep in mind too, whenever you measure your crawl space, especially when you're dealing with mold, you want to add about 25 to 30% to the actual measurement, because if it's a joist system, you got all that extra square footage of wood that you have to deal with. Okay, so if you got 1,000 square feet crawl space, you may have 1,250 to 1,300 square feet of actual wood that you would have to treat with a mold cleaner. So the YCS mold cleaner, which is a very good peroxide-based product, covers about 200 to 300 square feet. The reason why it does not cover that much is because it has to be applied with a pump sprayer, and usually those pump sprayers do not have as good a coverage as, say, a fogger would. You can't fog the YCS cleaner. The Anabec cleaner is 5 gallons, okay? And each gallon with a fogger, they say, can cover 1,000 square feet. It is also peroxide based. Both are non-EPA registered products. The YCS cleaner does have an EPA safe certification that you can read about on the DIY store. Basically, they're claiming that it is as safe to use as, I believe, Simple Green. Simple Green has the same certification as a YCS cleaner. So if you're dealing with a really small project, only need about 250 square feet to deal with that. Some of y'all have some of those smaller crawl spaces like that. The YCS cleaner is perfect. The Anabec cleaner would be more for your larger projects. And the other nice thing about Anabec cleaner is that it will actually since it's good for a year. It's got a year shelf life. The YCS cleaner, as soon as you open and hit that activator in there, it's good for a day. Okay, so it's a quick use product. So hopefully that helps to answer that question. And speaking of what we were talking about earlier with the hardship of everybody across the U.S. and money being tight, we got access to a dehumidifier. We had a company approach us about launching this product. It's an exclusive product with Crawlspace Ninja. It's called the Ninja Dry Pro 70. It is a 71 pint per day dehumidifier. Fantastic touchscreen, 5-year warranty, all the bells and whistles that you would need for a crawl space. And it is under $1,000 price point. We got a sale going on that I'll cover here in just a little bit that'll get even better than that. But I really feel like having access to a commercial dehumidifier that is designed specifically for crawl spaces and super quiet. It is a very quiet dehumidifier, one of the quietest ones out there, even compared to some of the others that we have on the DIY store. So if you're looking to save some money, all right, this is a 70 pint AHAM true 70 pints, actually 71 pint per day dehumidifier. I encourage you to check out the Ninja Dry Pro 70, and I'm going to put a link to that as well right here. So there's the link to the Ninja Dry Pro 70 if you would like to learn about that, and hopefully y'all can see my chats. Okay, so let's get back to the Ask a Ninja. Let's see. How do I air seal an old house with a plank subfloor? All right, that's a good question. It has 1x8 planks. Do I spray foam all the gaps between each plank, or do I only put foam board on the exterior walls and the vapor barrier? All right, that is a very good question. Let's assume two things. Number one, to answer the first question, I'm going to treat it like the plank has hardwood over it so that there's no daylight, so you can't see daylight through the plank. All right, let's say that you got the plank and then you got hardwood over it, so it's kind of like sealed. All right, with that instance, I think that you could use spray foam, okay, if you wanted to seal between the planks. And I would be very cautious about how much I would put, between the joists or the joints in the planks. If your planks are the hardwood and I'm in your crawl space and I look up and I can see you walking around up there, see your feet going over me and all that, that's a little different scenario because we have had those too. In those instances, I would almost recommend you try to use some kind of caulk, just because it is easier to control. The spray foam, even if you're really diligent and do it well, it'll still want to expand up. Where the caulk, you can kind of like control it a little better, and then you can get maybe something up above to hide or something like that. I'm not an expert on flooring, so just keep that in mind. So there may be something out there that would cover that transition or that caulk transition that you're able to see. But if you're concerned about moisture and energy efficiency and things like that, it's a great idea to air seal those planks. I know a lot of those older homes, 20s to 50s homes had those plank systems installed. And I would still do the foundation walls just like before. So if you're in an environment like ours where it gets cold in the winter, warm in the summer, I would do the foundation walls with at least an R10. You can either use the insul barrier that we have on the DIY store or use some type of foam board, but we come across that plank problem quite a bit. I don't like using foam board up against subfloor. I don't like using any insulation typically that covers the entire subfloor. All right, because number one, if you did it while the foam board was wet, then you're going to have an issue there. So if you are putting foam board or bat insulation or spray foam up against the subfloor and the subfloor is wet, it can trap moisture, grow mold. That's issue number one. Issue number two is if you get a leak from above, hits the foam board, hits the spray foam, hits the fiberglass insulation. Then you got to deal with mold and all that other stuff. And you may not even know it's there until, your plumber or your HVAC or you go down there and discover it. So anyway, hopefully that helps you out. Do you recommend Bora-Care for a basement after the joist and subfloor mold remediation? Absolutely. Bora-Care, if you are, you can get termites in a basement. I actually had a basement that whenever I pulled the paneling off the wall, it had fur strips. We were remodeling the basement, had fur strips with cut nails attaching the fur strip to the block. Of course, the fur strips were not pressure treated. And I went to swing the hammer, brought it back and hit it. And it looked like the mummy. I don't know if you remember that movie, The Mummy, where he turned into ash. That's the way that stud looked whenever I hit it. It just went everywhere because termites had eaten it up. So if you have a basement, if you have anywhere there's moisture, crawl space especially, Bora-Care is a great product for that. And Bora-Care does more than just prevent and kill termites. It also is good for powder post beetles. And if you want the mold side, you need the Bora-Care with mold care. Okay. But Bora-Care alone, in order for them to bring the product to market, they talk about that it eliminates fungus, or what your realtor would call WDO, wood destroying organisms. If you want to address mold, then you need Bora-Care with mold care. All right. So what's the difference? Wood rot fungus is typically your white wood rot or your brown wood rot. It's harmful to the wood, but not necessarily harmful to me. Penicillium, Aspergillus, Stachybotrys, those molds that are allergens and, that you call people to remediate, that would be the mold care side of it. Okay. So hopefully that's not too confusing. All right. Your videos show you digging the perimeter drain pretty close to the footing of the foundation. Any concerns with undermining the bearing of the footing? It's a good question. Typically, we try to bring the dig, not right up against the footing. But whenever we put the soil back or the backfill back, hopefully that's keeping all of that in place. So we've not had any issues with that at all. There's always a risk. Don't get me wrong. Nothing in life is risk-free. Okay. Despite what the folks try to tell us. There's always a risk of something going on. But hydrostatic pressure is probably more of a risk with that sort of thing. You got to remember that on the outside of the crawl space or basement, there's a pipe next to the footing. So they've already done it. It's already out there. There's always a risk of some kind of foundation issue. There's a risk of a foundation problem without pipe. Soil just moves. That's just naturally what happens. Rain always happens, soil movement, all that sort of thing. So absolutely, you could get into a situation where you're waterproofing your basement or your crawl space or whatever. You get a little bit too close and there's a possibility of a shift there. If you're concerned about that, you might want to backfill it with some gravel, do some things, talk to an engineer, a local engineer, to see and make sure that you've done everything you can to minimize that sort of thing. But keep in mind, even if you don't put a pipe in the in next to the footer can still move. All right. Footers move, soils move. They're not impenetrable to movement. So good question though, Ben. My home has an AC heat pump supply vent that blows into the crawl space. Should I seal that? If so, why? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the whole AC blowing air into the crawl space scenario for a couple of reasons. But number one, the crawl space is not really designed to be a conditioned space. So most HVAC contractors that I'm aware of do not take the crawl space into consideration whenever they're selling you that unit based on size. They go through school and they learn how to do these calculations, load calculations based on windows and doors. and all that sort of thing. And just dumping a bunch of warm or cold air into a crawl space, unless you specifically had it sized for that, is going to put a lot of strain on that AC and heat pump. And, you just basically undersized the unit. If your heat pump is designed for 1,500 square feet and your crawl space is 1,500 square feet, that has to do something to the load calculation. I'm not sure what, but it has to, because they did not take that into consideration whenever they did their calculations. The other thing about it is, think about the energy costs of you dumping cold or hot air into an unconditioned space. Why not dump it into your attic? Why not dump it into your garage? You could have a conditioned garage if you wanted to. You could have a conditioned attic. I mean, there's things that your heat pump is not really good at doing. I know that they try to say that those things control moisture by lowering humidity, but it's always overridden by the temperature. Okay. Now, I know there's smart thermostats that you can set them for humidity, but if you set a smart thermostat to run based on humidity, it's pulling the humidity from the living space where the thermostat is, not from the crawl space. So it will still turn off before it has a chance to lower that crawl space humidity, at least the ones that I've seen. Now, I'm sure there's a way to do it. You could have dampers and all these other things. You could even put the humidistat downstairs, or the thermostat down in the crawl space, and control it from there. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but if you want to control humidity, use a dehumidifier. If you want to control heat and cool and temperature, use the thermostat. That's just they're two different things, right? So anyway, that's just my opinion. You can disagree with me, of course, but that's why I don't like it. And Dean says hello. Hello, Dean. How are you doing? Thank you very much for the question. I don't know if that was Dean that asked or not, but thank you. All right. Do you stop the install and take care of pests? Do you stop the install and take care of pests? Do you do something yourself or just ignore it altogether? Hope storm did not hit you guys too hard. All the best and thanks. It depends on the pest. For example, I did a video with a couple a long time ago, and it was so funny because they had cave crickets everywhere. I call them cave crickets. They're called camel crickets, camelback crickets. They're those crickets that if they get lodged in your throat, they got barbs on them. My wife actually got one lodged in her throat while we were landscaping, and it was one of the funniest stories I ever tell if I ever get a chance to meet you. So at least for me, it was pretty funny. For her, it was a nightmare. She still doesn't go around jumping bugs to this day. But so anyway, back to I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Cave crickets, they love moisture, right? So there's not really an efficient way to kill them. You can put, Niban down there, and you can do different things. You can get a shop vac and go down there and try to suck them out while they're jumping at you. I've been in them so bad while I'm crawling through, they're like jumping on my back, and you can hear them hitting the plastic. Let me know if anybody's ever experienced that before, because it's pretty cool as long as you're not scared of them. So what we did was this lady, she was real concerned. I went down there. They had glue traps everywhere. They had tried everything they could. All I did was lower humidity. As soon as I lowered humidity, they left on their own. Didn't have to trap them. Didn't have to do anything. All right. So that's one example. A different example would be termites. All right. So if you get down into a crawl space, and one of our sales guys here in Knoxville was in a crawl space and found a termite colony. They weren't looking for termites, but they found a termite colony. I think those need to be addressed. And it doesn't have to be, like termites, then 2 years later encapsulation. It can go together. So we can still stick the dehu down there, get the things drying, while the pest control company comes in and addresses the termites. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I mean, unless it's a budgetary thing. We can do it together. All right. Now, of course, the pest control company, if they do encapsulation, they're going to try to talk you into using them for encapsulation. I get that. But the point is that, a lot of bugs and things like that can be addressed at the same time, or the encapsulation itself will get rid of those bugs and pests too. By the way, I learned something in the state of Tennessee. I don't know if any other states are like this, but the state of Tennessee, if you have snakes in your crawl space, and this is usually the order, your crawl space gets wet, the bugs move in, the mice go in after them, then the snakes go in after the mice. In the state of Tennessee, it is illegal to kill snakes, any kind, in the state of Tennessee. Fun fact, did not know that. So just letting you know. All right, here we go. Another question. Would sealing and insulating the rim joist reduce the stack effect? Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, buildingscience.com claims that sealing and insulating, not just insulating and air sealing the rim joist reduces the stack effect. They call it a critical seal. And some of the articles I've read at buildingscience.com says it is second only to air sealing the attic. So if you've got the money, air seal the attic first. Okay. And what I mean by that is all the top plates, anywhere a wall touches the attic, that's the top plate. All the penetrations, cannon lights, air seal, all that first, and then rim joist. Although the rim joist is less expensive to do. So if it's a budgetary thing, if you don't have the money to do the attic, rim joist you can do for less money. Okay. I like to use foam board and spray foam, even though the building science folks talk about spray foam. All right. We were doing spray foam for a while. And then I got this idea about, well, what if I ever need to remove the spray foam? That stuff's pretty tough to remove. So that's when we switched over to foam board, and you spray foam around the foam board. A little bit more labor intensive to do it that way, but if you ever need to take it off, much easier to remove. So good question. I would highly recommend you air seal your rim joist if you have not already, and the subfloor. Make sure you air seal all those penetrations around the HVAC boot, around any electrical wire penetrations, any plumbing penetrations, as we already talked about, air sealing those tongue and grooves or those 1/8 plywood or hardwoods. Anything like that is going to improve the energy efficiency, but most importantly, the comfort of your home. My crawl space is very dry. I taped up the walls with 2 foot by 2 foot clear plastic. When I moved in, I taped up the walls with a 2 foot by 2 foot clear plastic when I moved in, and have never noticed condensation. And the crawl space stays relatively the same humidity at 35% in Colorado. Of course you have 35% humidity in Colorado. Would you still recommend a sump pit, dehumidifier, both? Only as needed, right? All right. So to expand on that a little bit, it's interesting. I had a conversation with a gentleman in Colorado yesterday. The way he described it was they get a lot of rain in a very short amount of time, but usually it's pretty dry there. Okay. So if you get a lot of rain in, say, a month, and your crawl space takes on a lot of water during that month, and it causes the humidity to rise above 60%, then yes, I would recommend sump pumping the water out as quickly as possible, covering the ground with vapor barrier to make sure it limits the amount of moisture exposure to the rest of the crawl space, because mold only needs 24 to 48 hours of dampness to start growing. Okay. Just because you can't see it does not mean it's not there. All right. Because mold starts out microscopic. So yeah, season 1, you may not have a big deal. Season 2, maybe not a big deal, but eventually you're going to have enough moisture and mold to where you will be able to see it one day. So in my opinion, I think you should just go ahead and do the sump pump if you take on a lot of water in the crawl space. The other side of that is HUD, the housing and urban development folks say that if the floor of the crawl space is lower than the dirt outside, always put in a sump pump and water management or waterproofing system. But it's up to you. I understand the expense of it. I understand you don't want to do it if you don't have to, but that's just what I would recommend. Secondly, the humidity. All right. So I've been to Colorado, and it's really crazy because I was there. It was negative 12 degrees. Humidity was like below 30, and I didn't even feel cold. Now, all of my nose hair was frozen to my face. I was like completely frozen, but I still felt comfortable. Now you go to Tennessee, 25 degrees outside, 80% humidity, and it actually feels cold. It like bone chilling cold. You ever been wet and then got cold? Well, that's kind of what high humidity is like. You just feel blah, right? So in Colorado, though, even though you got 35% relative humidity, what about throughout the day? Are you foggy in the morning? Because that's 100% relative humidity, and then it burns off at lunch. All right. Do you get a lot of rain? Because whenever it's raining, it's 100% relative humidity. So anyway, keep that in mind whenever you're considering whether to put in a dehumidifier in Colorado, where you're telling me it's 35% humidity. I understand it is on average 35% probably, but there are times of the day or seasons where humidity could still be a problem. So just keep that in mind. All right. Instead of butyl tape, why not use flashing tape? I think I saw this on our chat, and I don't know which flashing tape that you would recommend, but I assume flashing tape is also two-sided rubberized tape, correct? If it is, then you could use flashing tape instead of butyl tape. Butyl tape, I think, is a little smaller or a little less wide than some of the flashing tapes that are out there. And I've also seen flashing tapes that are one-sided, I believe. I'm not a roofer. I'm not familiar with some of the flashing tapes that are out there, but if you have a two-sided flashing tape, I think that would be fine. You could also put the plastic up and then use flashing tape to tape the plastic to the block or the concrete or foundation wall. I think that would work as well. The thing about butyl tape, though, is or a two-sided flashing tape, is whenever you're doing a DIY project by yourself, it's like an extra set of hands down there. Okay. So if you put the butyl tape on the block wall and then you were able to put the plastic on the butyl tape, while you're fumbling around finding all your Christmas tree fasteners or your tap cons, that plastic is staying in place. If you're using a one-sided flashing tape, you're still, having to hold the plastic and then tape it. And, that can be a little cumbersome whenever you're working by yourself. If you got a buddy helping you out, might not be that big of a deal. So hopefully I answered that question for you okay. If I didn't do a good job, let me know. How safe is Bora-Care? Safe is a relative word. Relative word. I suggest that you read the MSDS or the SDS sheet for Bora-Care, because safe for me may not be safe for you. And what I mean by that is if you're chronically ill, your kids have asthma, something like that, could be a completely different scenario than me. Okay. So from what I do understand, it is borate that they is it borate that they use. I think that's right. But what I'm trying to say is that there's not a whole lot of pest control products out there that I would deem safe. Okay. As a matter of fact, in order to apply Bora-Care, you have to go through the EPA's, Category 7 classification certification in order to do it. And the reason why Bora-Care would not be considered safe is because you're using it in a concentrate form. And usually you're going to expose yourself to highly concentrated EPA registered pesticides while you're mixing it to apply it. Okay. So at that moment it is the least safe. Okay. So I wouldn't really classify any chemical as safe, even water. I mean, yeah, water is life, but too much water and you drown. Drink too much water and you get water toxicity. So we have to be real careful with that word safe. It's very litigious word. So hopefully that helps answer. Had my crawl space encapsulated about 3 weeks ago. By the way, the SDS on Bora-Care is on the DIY store. So I wasn't trying to be a smart aleck. I do apologize. I just, all these attorneys and all these people that I have to talk to on a daily basis are like, no, don't make claims, blah, blah, blah. All right. So I just want to let you know, I would recommend, if you're concerned about how safe something is, read the SDS and make sure you use it according to how it is supposed to be used on the label. And that is probably the safest you'll be if you follow those directions. Okay. I had my crawl space encapsulated about 3 weeks ago, feeling much better now. Was wheezing and not anymore. Wow, that's great, Jenna. We are not allowed to make claims like that, but you as a consumer can tell others that has helped you out. I can't say, hey, if you encapsulate your crawl space, you're not going to get sick, or it's going to make you feel better. Because then the FDA will come in with guns blazing. Oh, I can't use that word. The FDA will come in with these metal things that pew pew blazing, and they'll escort me outside of my house because I made some kind of claim that a drug company is only allowed to make. So thank you, Jenna, for sharing that. Anyway, let's read that again. Had my crawl space encapsulated 3 weeks ago. This is Jenna giving a testimonial. Feeling much better now, was wheezing and not anymore. Improved the indoor air quality, and lo and behold, there is a chance you might feel better. That is amazing. Great job, Jenna. Good job. If I don't duct the dehumidifier to the smaller cavities of my crawl space, will that matter? No, probably not, but I would still monitor it. Okay. So in other words, let's say that you have 1,000 square foot crawl space, if I'm reading this correctly, and you got like a 200 square foot little pocket. All right. There's a really good chance if you encapsulated everything correctly by putting the dehumidifier in the 1,000 square foot crawl space, the air from the wet pocket wants to make its way into the other area in most cases. All right. But in order to make sure that is true, I would probably watch the humidity and the moisture level in that 200 square foot area. And if you see that it's having trouble, you can get a fan and blow air from the 1,000 square foot area into the 200 square foot area to kind of equalize the dry movement of the air. Okay. So that's what I would recommend. I always think you should blow dry air to the wet air versus blowing wet air to the dry air. So if I have a dehumidifier by my door, I want to aim the exhaust to the back of the crawl space. And if I got some weird angles that I got to go around or anything, I want to use a fan with probably some ducting to pick up the dry air next to the dehu and then duct it back around to that space to make sure that that space is dry. So hopefully that helps you out there. Jenna, it's fact about wheezing. Yes. I had my crawl space encapsulated, dehumidifier and vent fan installed in my crawl space on our new build home. There are walls insulated between foundation blocks and floor joist. There are walls insulated between foundation block and floor joist. The floor joist insulation was removed. What should the walls in the crawl space be insulated with? All right. So foundation walls, depending on the climate, can be insulated with foam board, can in some spots be insulated with fiberglass. It depends on the code. I've seen fiberglass insulating foundation walls. I don't recommend it. All right. So I would use either a ground contact foam board, which means that it will withstand or work with moisture, or the insulation vapor barrier that we sell on our DIY store is very good as well. Make sure that you have whatever the R value is in your municipality. For us, it's an R10. Okay. Now, here's something I want to say about foundation wall insulation. According to code that I have read and interpreted, it doesn't matter if the foundation wall is on the interior of the crawl space or on the exterior of the crawl space. So if you're building a home, you can actually insulate the exterior wall and it counts as the foundation wall insulation because you are creating the thermal break between the outside soil and the outside block wall. Okay. So you don't have to do exterior and interior. If you don't have exterior foundation wall insulation, then I would recommend, it's a lot easier to do interior wall insulation. So I didn't know if you all knew that. And of course, that's bound by municipality. Your municipality may say something completely different, but I just wanted to let you know about that. Real quick, I know we got more questions, but I want to mention really fast. September is Mold Awareness Month. Use this time to check your home in areas that could attract mold and receive a free mold test with purchase of $100 or more of mold products on our DIY store. Did you know that? All right. So also use the code NOMOLD24. It's capital NO, all caps, NOMOLD 24 for 10% off of your total order. Offer ends on the 30th. So did you know September was Mold Awareness Month? I did not know that. Also, we have all those wonderful, nicest pest control products like the Web Out and the Snake Out. Did you know we have Snake Out? That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Web Out, Snake Out. We got. They need to make a Bug Out, right? Or a termite out. But they got Bora-Care, Nyban, some great products out there. Make sure you check those out. And also, our podcast is being released. I think it's every Thursday now. We're releasing a new podcast, and make sure you check out my book on Amazon if you want to learn more about the myths of crawl space repair. So that's Crawl Space Repair Myths Busted on Amazon.com. All right. So we got another question. Joe Doe is asking to repeat the part about blowing dry air to the wet area from the beginning of your last answer. Yes. All right. So let's say that I have 1,000 square feet crawl space with like an L shape. Okay. And you got one dehu in the main part of the crawl space. And the L shape back in this area is really damp. Okay. You've sealed the vents, you got plastic, but the humidity is still having a hard time lowering. I would put a whisper fan in, or some kind of bathroom fan, or a little 4-inch ductable fan next to the dehumidifier, let it run all the time. And I would run a duct all the way to that last part of that L, and I would blow dry air into that L. Okay. And that will dry that space. All right. The other thing you could do is if you have a foundation wall and you maybe have a little hole or a small cavity that you can blow air into, you can, set the dehu in the big spot and run a duct into that hole and dry that space back there if you can't get a dehumidifier in that other section. So try that before buying multiple dehumidifiers. If you want to try to save some money, do what I'm recommending. And if it's not enough, then you probably have too much square footage for that dehumidifier. Then you might need another dehumidifier. But I would recommend you try to use fans to blow the dry air to the wet air. That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right, very good. Hope that helped. I recently encapsulated my crawl space, added a dehumidifier, 2-inch foam board on exterior block, and constant exhaust. Very good. My question is, how can I get rid of the dusty, musty smell that seems to linger up through the floor into the living space? I thought the exhaust would help, but hasn't seemed to make a huge difference. The smell is most obvious when coming home and the living area has been stagnant. I do not have a central air conditioning to move air in the house, and I feel that this would be the ultimate solution, but budget isn't there, and any other suggestions would be great. All right, so I'm going to make some assumptions here, or kind of set up some answers, and if I don't answer your question, we may need to do a consultation to talk about this a little further. But you wrote that you encapsulated, added foam board, and constant exhaust fan. Did you address mold? If you did not address mold, then you could have a musty smell. And what I mean by that is, I don't care if you saw mold and thought, or didn't see any mold and thought, hey, I don't need to address it. If the wood moisture level was higher than 20% at any point in time, it could have grown microscopic mold that could give off an odor. Okay. So check the moisture level of the subfloor. I know it's probably dry by now, but I would also check the moisture level of the subfloor and also the rim joists and see if any of them are still damp, because you could be taking on moisture from the outside that's causing the rim joist to be wet, and that could be growing mold as well. So if you did not address mold in the subfloor, the smell could be coming from there. Second thing is, before you encapsulated, did you remove the old plastic and any wood or organic material that could grow mold that was on the dirt? Okay. If you did not, then the smell could also be coming from there. And then the last thing that could obviously create smells is, I don't know what kind of vapor barrier you used. If you used a reinforced vapor barrier, it can delaminate, get moisture in it, create odors. You didn't say that it was a cat pee smell. I think you said it was a musty smell, which typically means mold, in my opinion. Kind of smells like grandma's basement or a old basement house or something like that. The last thing is, if you've done all those things, you might want to consider putting a sub membrane. I'm sorry, a submembrane depressurization system, which is a fancy way of saying a radon mitigation system under the plastic, because you could also be getting so much soil gas passing up that the fan that you have installed isn't enough to handle it. So if you put some kind of submembrane depressurization system under the plastic, you're addressing that soil gas before it has a chance to get above the plastic. So if those three things didn't help you, let me know and we can maybe talk about it. Okay. All right. So I've been told to close out and bring her home. So anyway, appreciate all you guys being on our second live stream. I am Michael Church with Crawlspace Ninja. I hope this information was helpful. And if you want to send in some advanced questions, you can go to our Ask a Ninja page on the crawlspaceninja.com website, and then we can feature those in a video in case you cannot attend the live stream to ask questions there. So Michael Church with Crawlspace Ninja, make sure you check out all of the products on our DIY store. If you need a free estimate, go to crawlspaceninja.com and check out the Get a Quote page. Fill that out, and we'll send one of our ninjas out to take care of your house, whether it's your basement, your attic, your crawl space, foundation, ductwork, whatever it is. We'll take a look at it for you and let you know what we think. Michael Church, Crawlspace Ninja. Hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.